Well, it's Tuesday again, and like every Tuesday, or almost every Tuesday, it's time for this week's video. Get ready. Well, today's video is actually I'm doing it partly as a favor to somebody who's a new listener who I spoke to for the first time today and really enjoyed our conversation with him. And uh, and I did tell him, it's like, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for a video today because it's Tuesday. I was really it made me happy because the way he actually started listening to us was he stumbled on one of my videos a while back, and now he's a Powercast listener and a video watcher, and I would say he's a gospel revolutionary. So he asked me, he said, "Why don't you do something on Romans 8, 28, 29, and 30?" And I was like, okay, not exactly my favorite section, but so I will, and I'm gonna. Don't I? I've got it set up on my phone because I don't know if it's easier to read that or my screen. Let's try the computer screen. Okay. Starting in 28, it says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom did he predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, he also glorified." So I think the big subject here is predestinate, but again, this is Paul, and not just Paul, but everything should be read in context. This chapter 8 is one of the popular chapters that are usually lifted out of context and used in Christianity a number of ways to condemn people. And actually, this is just a furthering of Paul's thinking, starting in chapter 1 throughout this entire letter. And he's assuming you've paid attention to him since chapter 1 and, and what he's said in every chapter since then. Because earlier on in chapter 8, he's talking about the creature and the creation, and um, uh, that it would be that the whole all of creation was in travail, which is something that Isaiah spoke of. He spoke of the travail, but he's talking about the creature, the original creature that was in Adam, and it says that that creature was prone to vanity. And it was subject to vanity. It was subject to the offense of Adam, which he talked about in chapter 5. So remembering what Paul said in chapter 5, that all were dead in Adam, and that same all who were dead in Adam were raised to life in Christ, which is primarily verses 12 through 18, 19, however far you want to go with that. The whole chapter, but the crux of it is right there in in the middle section. He's talking about how all were originally in the first Adam, subject to vanity, condemned by his offense, and dead in him. And they were all raised to life and to righteousness in Christ. Um, and which means that all were called. See, God's will the whole time was that all were called. And Paul's even saying this throughout the book. He says it throughout this letter. He's even in chapter 1, which is also another chapter used to condemn. He talks about that all are called, and so if all are called, then all are predestined, and if all are predestined, then all are the elect, or God's election. See, Paul even said earlier. He said that he concluded all in unbelief, so that it was his purpose, it was his will, it was his choice to declare everybody in unbelief so he could have mercy upon all. It, the, Paul is consistent throughout this letter. Now he uses many examples because he's trying to hit this from every angle possible to teach these people, and he's teaching them that that the work of Christ was for all, and it was God's work. It was God's justification. He even goes further after these 3 verses to say that who can condemn? Nobody can condemn, because it's Christ who justifies us. No man justifies another man, and no man can justify himself. It is Christ who justifies all. So um, uh, these 3 verses are basically talking about all who were in the original creature, in Adam, prone to vanity, subject to the first offense. All were called, all were predestined, and all were made in the likeness of Christ in the resurrection to new life in Christ Jesus. And this is such a massive letter, and it really doesn't do Paul much justice anytime to take something he says out of context. I will put a link below to the download of the entire series that Mike taught, this letter, the book of Romans, from the first verse to the last, all the chapters, verse by verse, and it really puts this entire chapter into context with the entire letter. And the entire letter is that all are in Christ. All are predestined, and all are transformed. All right, folks, I know it's revolutionary. It's revolutionary to put it back in context, but have a revolutionary week. Thanks.